Wake up between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., not because it is easy, not because it is trendy, but because it teaches you something no book can fully explain: self-leadership. These hours are not magical by themselves, you become powerful in them. When the world is asleep, distractions are silent, expectations are paused, and the noise that usually controls your thoughts finally steps aside. In that stillness, you begin to hear yourself clearly. This time teaches discipline in its purest form. No applause, no audience, no pressure, just you and your intention. When you choose to wake up early, you are not fighting sleep, you are training your mind to obey your purpose. Education is not only in schools or degrees. Real education begins when you learn how to control your habits, your time, and your reactions. Waking early is a lesson in responsibility. You stop blaming circumstances and start owning your choices. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., your mind is calmer, more receptive, and deeply focused. Neuroscience tells us the brain is more open to reflection and learning during early hours. This is the best time to read, plan, write, pray, meditate, or simply think. Not rush think, but deep think. When you give your mind this space daily, clarity becomes a habit. Confusion slowly loses its power over you. These hours also teach emotional strength. When life hurts, and it will, you realize strength is not loud. Strength is quiet consistency. It is showing up even when no one sees you. Many people want motivation, but motivation comes after discipline, not before it. When you wake up early consistently, you teach your emotions that they do not control you. You guide them. Spiritually, these hours reconnect you with humility and gratitude. When the world is quiet, ego becomes smaller and purpose becomes clearer. You begin to understand that success is not only about money or recognition, it is about alignment. Alignment between who you are, what you believe, and how you live. Education without values creates noise. Education with reflection creates wisdom. Do not expect instant transformation. This is not a miracle routine, it is a training ground. Some mornings you will fail, some days you will feel tired. But remember, change does not come from dramatic decisions. It comes from repeated small actions done with intention. Every early morning is a vote for the person you want to become. If you want to change your life, don't wait for perfect conditions. Wake up early. Sit with yourself. Learn from silence. Build discipline before comfort. Because when you learn to rise before the sun, you also learn how to rise after failure, after pain, and after setbacks. And one day, without realizing it, you will look back and understand. You didn't just wake up early, you woke up stronger. When you wake up early, before the world demands anything from you, you are quietly making a statement to your own mind that discipline comes before comfort. And that lesson alone can rewire your entire life if you let it sink in deeply. Discipline is not built when life is easy or when motivation feels high. It is built in moments when your body wants rest, but your purpose asks for commitment. Waking up early teaches you to act without emotional permission. You don't negotiate with sleep, excuses, or moods. You simply move. That single act trains your brain to understand that you are in charge, not your impulses. In those early hours, there is no external pressure pushing you. No boss watching, no deadline screaming, no one applauding your effort. This is pure self-discipline, the kind that grows character instead of ego. You begin to realize that true strength is silent. Anyone can perform when the crowd is watching, but only disciplined people show up when nobody cares. Each early morning becomes a private victory, and those private victories slowly build an unshakable inner confidence that doesn't depend on validation. Discipline learned in the morning spills into every other area of life. When you can control your wake-up time, you start controlling your reactions, your habits, your time management, and even your emotional responses. You stop waiting to feel ready and start acting because it needs to be done. This is how leaders are formed, not through loud motivation, but through repeated obedience to self-imposed rules. You stop lying to yourself. You stop breaking promises you made in silence. And that honesty with yourself changes everything. Early mornings also expose your resistance. You meet the real you, the one that complains, doubts, and looks for shortcuts. Instead of running from that voice, you learn to move through it. That is education at its rawest form, learning how your mind tries to protect comfort and how to gently but firmly override it. Every time you wake up early, you teach your mind a powerful lesson. Discomfort is temporary, but regret lasts longer. Discipline before the world wakes up also prepares you for chaos later in the day. When problems appear, you are not easily shaken because you already won the hardest battle, yourself. You are less reactive, more focused, more grounded. You stop feeling like life is happening to you and start feeling like you are participating consciously. That feeling is freedom. Most people want a changed life but refuse a changed routine. Early mornings demand consistency, not perfection. Some days will be heavy, some nights short, but discipline doesn't ask for excuses. It asks for effort. And slowly, almost invisibly, your standards rise. You begin to expect more from yourself, not out of pressure, but out of respect. Respect for your time, your potential, and your future self, who will benefit from what you are doing now. This is how discipline is born quietly, before sunrise, when no one is watching, when the world is asleep, and you are choosing growth over ease, order over chaos, purpose over comfort. When the world goes silent between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., something rare happens inside you. The noise that usually defines your thoughts finally steps away, and for the first time, you can hear yourself without interruption. This silence is not empty, it is deeply educational. It teaches you awareness. Throughout the day, your mind reacts non-stop. Messages, opinions, expectations, comparisons, but in early morning stillness, reactions slow down and understanding begins. You start noticing what you think, why you think it, and how often your thoughts are borrowed from fear rather than truth. Silence sharpens clarity. When there is no rush, no performance, no pretending, your mind becomes honest. You stop hiding behind busyness. You realize which worries truly matter and which ones only survive because you never gave yourself time to question them. This is where clarity is born, not in chaos, but in calm. Early morning silence acts like a mirror, showing you your real priorities. You don't need motivation here, you need presence. And presence is a skill that must be practiced, not wished for. In this quiet space, emotions that were buried during the day slowly rise. Instead of escaping them, you finally sit with them. This is powerful education of the heart. You learn that emotions lose their power when they are acknowledged, not avoided. Fear becomes information. Pain becomes a teacher. Doubt becomes a signal pointing toward growth. Silence gives you the courage to face yourself without judgment and without distraction. And that alone builds inner strength most people never develop. Self-awareness grows because there is no audience. You are not trying to impress anyone. You are not seeking approval, you are simply observing. This observation changes the way you live. You start catching negative thought patterns before they turn into actions. You start understanding your triggers instead of reacting blindly to them. You stop confusing noise with progress. That is real intelligence, knowing yourself well enough to guide your own life. Silence also trains patience. When nothing is demanding your attention, you learn to sit without constant stimulation. This is difficult at first because the mind is addicted to noise. But once you stay, once you breathe, once you allow stillness to exist, your mind settles. And in that settled state, ideas become clearer, decisions become wiser, and direction becomes visible. You stop rushing into choices just to escape discomfort. Early morning silence connects you to intention. You don't start the day in reaction mode, you start it in alignment. Instead of asking, what do I have to do today? You begin asking, how do I want to live today? That shift is life-changing. Clarity is not about having all the answers, it is about knowing which questions matter. Silence teaches you to ask the right ones. Many people fear silence because it removes excuses. When there is no distraction, you cannot blame time, people, or circumstances. You face responsibility gently but firmly, and with that responsibility comes power. Power to choose better habits, better boundaries, better responses. Power to design your day instead of surviving it. When you consistently give yourself this silent window, your mind becomes less crowded, your emotions less reactive, your decisions more intentional, and your life begins to feel guided rather than forced, as if you finally learned how to listen before trying to speak. Waking up early is not just about time, it is about authority over yourself. Because the moment you decide when your day begins, you take back control that emotions and habits quietly steal from you. Most people are ruled by how they feel in the morning, tired, lazy, unmotivated, and those feelings decide the direction of their entire day. When you wake up early with intention, you teach your mind a powerful lesson. Feelings are information, not commands. You do not wait to feel strong, you act, and strength follows. The mind is naturally restless and emotional, especially when it is undisciplined. Early mornings create a space where you can calm that restlessness before it controls you. Instead of starting your day in a rush, reacting to alarms, notifications, or responsibilities, you start in control. This is emotional intelligence in practice. You recognize emotions without letting them drive your actions. You learn that discipline is not harsh, it is protective. It shields your future from the chaos of untrained reactions. Habits are shaped when resistance is high. Waking up early places you face to face with resistance every single day. The bed is warm, the body is heavy, excuses feel reasonable. But when you choose to move anyway, you weaken the grip of those excuses. Over time, your brain learns that discomfort is survivable. This rewiring is critical. It builds resilience. Life will test you in far harder ways than an early alarm, and when it does, you will already know how to respond instead of collapsing emotionally. Controlling your habits in the morning. NG changes your relationship with time. You stop chasing the day and start leading it. Instead of reacting emotionally to problems, you approach them with composure. When the mind is trained early, it stays steady later. This steadiness allows you to think clearly under pressure, to pause before responding, and to choose long-term growth over short-term relief. That is mastery, not perfection. Early waking also breaks the addiction to comfort. Comfort feels safe, but it slowly makes you weak. When you always choose ease, your tolerance for struggle disappears. Waking up early rebuilds that tolerance. It reminds you daily that you can do hard things without breaking. This confidence doesn't come from loud achievements, it comes from quiet self-respect. You trust yourself more because you keep your word to yourself. Emotional control grows when you stop letting moods decide your actions. Some mornings you will feel low, uninspired, or mentally tired. That is normal. But when you still wake up, still sit, still move forward, you prove to yourself that emotions do not define your limits. They pass. You remain. This understanding brings peace. You stop fighting yourself and start guiding yourself. Habits formed in the early hours are powerful because they are untouched by external chaos. No one is demanding your energy yet. This makes it easier to build routines that nourish the mind. Reading, reflection, planning, prayer, learning. These habits slowly reshape your identity. You no longer see yourself as someone who reacts to life, but as someone who prepares for it. Control over mind, emotions, and habits is not achieved in dramatic moments. It is earned in repeated, ordinary decisions made when no one is watching. Every early morning is a quiet training session, strengthening your inner authority, building calm confidence, and shaping a version of you that responds with intention instead of impulse. Before the sun rises, there is a window where the world feels lighter, calmer, and closer to meaning. And if you learn how to use that time, your inner alignment begins to shift in ways that logic alone cannot explain. Early morning hours carry a quiet sacredness, not because of superstition, but because your mind is less crowded and your heart is more open. When you wake up at this time, you are not just starting a routine, you are entering a space where reflection becomes deeper and intention becomes clearer. In these pre-dawn hours, the ego is softer. There is no rush to prove, no urge to impress, no pressure to perform. That softness allows you to reconnect with humility, gratitude, and faith, whatever form faith takes for you. Spiritual alignment is not about rituals alone. It is about awareness. When you sit in silence, pray, reflect, or simply breathe with presence, you remind yourself that life is bigger than your worries and that you are part of something greater than your fears. This alignment calms the nervous system. When you begin your day grounded, the chaos that follows feels less threatening. Problems still exist, but they no longer shake you at your core. You respond with patience instead of panic. That calmness is strength. It allows you to act wisely rather than emotionally. When your spirit is settled, your decisions naturally improve because they are not driven by anxiety or ego. Pre-dawn reflection teaches you surrender without weakness. You learn the difference between letting go and giving up. You release what you cannot control and focus fully on what you can. This is a powerful mental education. Many people exhaust themselves trying to control outcomes, opinions, and timing. Early spiritual alignment reminds you that effort is your responsibility, but results are not always in your hands. This understanding brings peace and persistence at the same time. In these quiet hours, gratitude becomes more genuine. You are not grateful because life is perfect, but because you are alive, aware, and willing to grow. Gratitude shifts your internal language. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this teaching me?" That shift alone can change how you experience pain, delay, and uncertainty. Spiritual alignment also strengthens purpose. When you regularly reconnect with your values, you stop drifting. You stop chasing things that look good but feel empty. You begin to recognize what truly matters to you and what drains your energy. This clarity helps you set boundaries, say no without guilt, and commit deeply to what aligns with your soul. Purpose is not found in noise, it is found in stillness. Early morning alignment teaches patience with the journey. Growth stops feeling rushed. You understand that becoming takes time and that transformation is not instant. This patience makes you consistent, and consistency is what turns belief into action. When your day begins with alignment, you move differently. You speak with intention. You listen with empathy. You work with sincerity. Even when the day challenges you, you return to that early calm within you, like an shore, reminding you who you are and why you started. Big change never announces itself loudly. It enters your life quietly, through small decisions repeated every day, and early mornings teach you this lesson better than any motivational quote ever could. When you commit to small actions consistently, you stop chasing dramatic breakthroughs and start building real transformation. Education in life is not about knowing what to do. It is about doing what you know, again and again, especially when it feels ordinary. Consistency trains your identity. One early morning does not change your life, but 10, 30, 90 mornings begin to change the way you see yourself. You stop calling yourself lazy, unfocused, or unlucky because your actions contradict those labels. You become someone who shows up. And when your identity shifts, your behavior follows naturally. You no longer force discipline, you live it. Small actions feel insignificant in the moment, which is why most people quit. Reading a few pages, writing a few lines, sitting in silence, planning the day, none of these feel powerful alone. But consistency compounds. Just like drops of water carve stone over time, repeated effort reshapes your mind. This is how confidence is built quietly. You don't wake up one day feeling transformed. You wake up realizing you are no longer the same person who used to avoid effort. Consistency also removes fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty and delay. When you act daily, even in small ways, fear loses its grip. You stop overthinking and start moving. Progress becomes measurable, not emotional. You begin to trust the process instead of demanding instant results. This patience is not weakness, it is wisdom earned through repetition. Early mornings create the perfect environment for consistency because they protect your effort from excuses. Later in the day, energy drops, distractions rise, and priorities blur. In the morning, your commitment is clean. No one has taken from you yet. When you invest that time in growth daily, you are paying yourself first. That habit alone separates those who dream from those who become. Consistency also builds resilience. On hard days, you don't rely on motivation, you rely on routine. This is powerful. Life will challenge you with loss, failure, and uncertainty, but your routine becomes your anchor. When everything feels unstable, your small daily actions keep you grounded. They remind you that even in chaos, you can still choose effort. Transformation does not happen by avoiding discomfort, it happens by befriending it. Consistent action teaches you to sit with discomfort without quitting. Some mornings you will feel tired, uninspired, even doubtful. But when you still act, you learn that growth does not require perfect conditions. It requires commitment. Over time, consistency sharpens focus. You stop trying to change everything at once. You become patient with progress. You learn to respect the timeline of growth. This focus makes your goals clearer and your actions more intentional. You waste less energy and move with direction. When small actions are repeated with sincerity, they accumulate into discipline, clarity, confidence, and purpose. And one day you realize that your life didn't change because of one big decision, but because you honored small promises daily until they became your new standard. Purpose does not arrive when life becomes easy. It reveals itself when you repeatedly choose growth over comfort, especially in moments where comfort feels deserved and growth feels demanding. Every time you wake up early, every time you resist the urge to stay where it feels safe, you are sending a message to your future that you are willing to become more than you are today. Comfort asks you to stay the same. Purpose asks you to evolve. Most people confuse happiness with comfort. Comfort is familiar, predictable, and soothing, but it slowly shrinks your potential. Growth, on the other hand, stretches you. It challenges your habits, questions your excuses, and demands effort without immediate reward. When you consistently choose growth, your purpose becomes clearer because purpose lives beyond convenience. It lives where effort meets meaning. Early mornings force this choice daily. The bed represents comfort. Waking up represents intention. When you choose intention repeatedly, you begin to respect yourself differently. Self-respect is the soil where purpose grows. You stop looking outside for validation because you know you are doing the work internally. This inner respect becomes a quiet confidence that guides your decisions. Purpose also grows when you stop escaping discomfort. Many people distract themselves from their calling because it feels heavy or uncertain. Growth requires facing doubt, fear, and responsibility. When you wake up early and sit with yourself, you stop running, you start listening. And in that listening, you begin to recognize what matters to you, not what looks impressive to others. Choosing growth over comfort trains patience. Purpose is not discove. Read overnight, it unfolds gradually as you commit to learning, improving, and serving consistently. You begin to understand that your struggles are not obstacles but instructions. Every challenge teaches you something about your strength, your values, and your direction. This understanding transforms frustration into fuel. Growth also sharpens discipline. When you do hard things voluntarily, you build the strength to face unavoidable hardships later. Life does not become easier, but you become capable. That capability gives you courage. Courage allows you to pursue meaningful goals instead of settling for safe ones. And meaningful goals are always connected to purpose. Comfort keeps you busy. Growth makes you intentional. You stop filling your time with distractions and start filling it with actions that align with who you want to become. This alignment brings fulfillment that comfort never can. Fulfillment comes from knowing that your daily efforts are building something that matters, even if no one else sees it yet. Purpose grows when your actions and values match. Early morning discipline aligns your behavior with your beliefs. You no longer say you want change while living the same routine. This honesty with yourself is powerful. It removes internal conflict and creates inner peace. When you consistently choose growth, your life gains direction. You stop drifting, comparing, and doubting. You move forward with intention, knowing that every uncomfortable choice is shaping a meaningful future. And slowly, without announcement, your purpose becomes visible through the life you are building day by day.